Hello everyone, welcome back to Game Zone Fast Forward 2025 Fall Edition with a bit of a mishap. I don't think one of our runners just couldn't make it. We're going a little forward in the schedule and we have Twist's Deltarune run.
Hello everyone, I'm Twist. Nice to meet you. Today we're going to be doing Deltarune's one of its category extensions called Jebel%. I will be unlocking a secret boss fight in the first chapter of the 4 of this game. It's quite simple. There's a little bit of a setup and it follows somewhat of a 90% path, but it's a really interesting boss fight. Also really hard. But with that out of the way, I think we are good to start on my end.
Alright, give me a countdown and I'll start the timer.
Alright, I will begin in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so to begin this run, for those unaware, we do have this little lore-based intro about us becoming part of the Deltarune world. Once we're acknowledged to be in the universe, we're asked to make a small little character. This character selection does not matter, so I'm just going to be mashing through all of this, not really reading anything, as you can see. Just going to be moving quite along pretty quickly, not doing anything out of the ordinary. And this happens throughout the entire creation, which takes about a minute. The only time that I have to worry about care is when naming the character. You'll see that I'm asked to name the vessel, which I call A, and then I'm asked to name the creator, which I call U. The reason for this is I skip an extra text box. As you'll be like, of course, that makes sense. Something to that effect when you name your character the same as yourself. But, again, as we can see, that character no longer relevant. I pointed at my computer screen. Sorry about that. And you'll see that we enter the actual world. Upon entering the world, we get introduced to ourselves. Chris, we're taking a nap, we have to get to school. But in this run, we actually don't go to school. Because I've had previous save data that shows you the opening cutscenes of the game, we can actually just go right back to bed, sleep through our alarm, and get into the more exciting part of the run. Which will start with me turning on a little feature called Auto Run. This doesn't save any time. All this feature does is means that I don't have to hold the B button during the run. That's all it will do, and I'll be walking as fast as possible. Obviously, speed matters in a speed run, so there we are. We're going to make our way through these little catacombs. You'll see a shadowy figure top of the screen. Nothing really to worry about, though. We're just going to keep on keeping on. Just making our way, walking around, getting introduced to the world, getting introduced to these overworld sections. While I have time, in these overworld sections, not only will there be puzzles like what I'm walking to now, but you'll see those exposed heart sections. I'm sorry if I'm talking a little fast. Those sections where my heart is visible, the heart hitbox is the only thing that matters. Bullets can go through my head, but they won't deal damage. You will see how this damage applies in later sections of the run, but the fact that I take damage in the overworld has some relevance. Not much, but there are bits and pieces. And we're just going to keep cruising along. We got introduced to our friend Susie from school, and one of the smaller big bads of this chapter. Someone that we will ignore for the what is like the final third of the run. We won't really care about him. But for now, we do have to worry about him dodging his attacks, as he just really doesn't like us, I guess. Not sure why, but, you know, here we are. Making our way through, and entering the second overworld section. These are the overworld sections I'm talking about. As you can see, bullets just went straight through my head, but they don't deal damage, so. That is something we have to worry about. I will take one hit. It's not going to really matter, but we're just going to keep keeping on. Getting through the game, exploring this wonderful world. We are going to fall one more time. We have to move to get ourselves out of it. And then we're going to just get back to the lore. To our next actual biggest skip, which saves like a minute of cutscene, we're going to get introduced to this weird shadowy figure who also wants to tell us the lore of Deltarune. But in any file, whether you have saved data or not, you can just say that you don't care. Simply put, you can just ignore it and just move on. Get introduced to Lancer officially, the guy who just attacked us, and enter our first official fight. the one thing to note about combat is that there's a little bar on each character we attack with, which that box at the very end is a crit, which I did need to hit. That first attack was a crit and missed. So I will turn this into a 4-cycle fight instead of a 3-cycle, taking 4 attacks to get through everything. As you can see, we don't get to control Susie. That does happen a little bit later, which Susie is very high damage, but we won't be using them for damage, sadly. And now, in a more proper way, we're introduced to our third character of our party, Ralse. Or Ralse, there's been a few ways of people saying it. I say Ralse personally. We get introduced, and they're like a little tour guide for the most part, trying to teach us how to be nice to people, how to get used to combat, which, as I'm a speedrunner, obviously I know what I'm doing. Speaking of knowing what I'm doing, I'm going to skip the training section and be really mean, because we're given a manual as part of that little training tour. I am messing this up. There we go. Now we just throw the manual out. That manual takes up a slot of our inventory. We only have 8 inventory slots in this game. So we need to remove it so we can have heals for the secret boss, Jevil, which will take quite a while. You'll see the Jevil fight is quite a difficult boss compared to most of the other combat that we'll see in this run. Which, in combat, a lot of our combat we will be skipping. Case in point, we're just going to walk past this enemy. Again, Chris, as you can see by his blank expression, does not really care for most people. Also why we mashed through a lot of text boxes. I did fail the second skip, which forces us into combat, and now you'll see that we have 2 characters we can fight with. Which I did hit crits, which, the way crits work, not only do you have to hit in that bar, but the pattern that you get, how synced the attacks are completely random. They're random within a certain set of values, but they're completely random as you go through. More skipped combat, as you can see, followed by a small puzzle, which requires us to maneuver the party members onto some buttons. I'm sorry there isn't much room for incentive, but also a lot of map movement matters in this game, and a lot of mashing. That is a very important thing to worry about in this game. Quite prevalent. Speaking of movement, we also just get to be quite mean. I did mess it up, which is sad, but we are going to also use some spells. We aren't going to attack everything like you've been seeing me do. There will be some times where we choose to pacify, including that final fight that I'm kind of hyping up. But trust me, the hype will well be worth it. You can see it. We move along pretty well. And now that 2 of the enemies are dead, we actually can take damage now. Saddening thought, but also we get money for this. This money will be used a lot later in the game. They're called Dark Dollars, but it's not really relevant. What is relevant is now officially having Susie back. After this short little cutscene, where we pick up Susie like a Pokemon. Also mark during this if there are any recent donations, they can be read, as this is a bit of an auto-scroller for this text box.
By the way, Gamer is asking if you have a save pre-made for the Jevil boss fight.
No. The Jevil boss fight will be reached in the save that I'm currently working in. The end goal is to go through the game, of this run, is to go through the game. I don't know why I did that. That was not the right decision. I get to the Jevil boss fight in this save file. For my incentive run, which is spammed to Neo, another secret boss in this game, that is done through a previous save. And, again, a lot of this follows any percent. This game is somewhat linear, but as you've seen me dodge some unnecessary combat, mashing pretty well, that's where you get a lot of the speedrun elements of this game. Also, just having good damage as well, which I'm hoping I can do right. I did. I've now skipped 1 extra attack from Susie, only having 5 attacks instead of the typical 6 that you normally would. You can also skip 1 with Chris. It's up to preference, really. I think if you're good about that, you can turn that into 4 attacks, but I could be wrong. And now we get through some more puzzles. Also, hello, gamer. And we're going to do a little box puzzle. And we are just going to push those boxes, and we're going to open this new gate. And keep on keeping on. Now, the area that we're about to get to is where we first see the first deviation from any percent. We're going to see a small little puzzle, and I'll explain in a minute why we do this puzzle. Once I stop messing it up, you'll see this little box. This box contains, and I'll show it in the inventory actually, a broken key seed. You don't ever have to actually check that in your inventory for the run, but there's 3 key pieces to unlock that final fight. I've just picked up the first of 3. Before actually even knowing about Jebel's existence, who is that secret boss that I keep talking about, we will see me pick up another key piece, but it does take a little while. Again, that's somewhat due to the nature of the game, but it is kind of the position that we're in. Also, for those that want to know why that puzzle is done the way it is, it's based on the order of the card suits that you do in this room. And sadly, we did not skip this unnecessary comment with a pawnman, but this gives you an idea of what the base game is like the non-secret boss level combat in this game. I'm skipping a good handful of it. Jebel takes that, what you've just seen, and cranks it up to 11. But there is still quite a ways away. Based on my timing, on my end, we're about 20 minutes out from that boss fight. Give or take. Really just depends on how bad I play, if I make some mistakes, especially on that fight. Also, this selection doesn't matter, that's why I'm able to just hold right here. A lot of your decisions don't really matter what you say. The biggest decision comes later in the run, but that, I'll leave as a little surprise for later. Oh, I messed up. I will now be entering more combat. This is fine, but is a little undesirable. I don't know how I dodged that. I'm going to be honest, that was completely improvised. I thought I would definitely get attacked there, but it's perfectly fine. We have good enough, based on the combat that we have encountered, I am at a good enough amount of money for the one thing that we need it for. Throughout the scripted fights as well. Now, this fight only finishes by you acting. That's why you will see me deliberately act. Instead of just pacifying enemies, I will be using Chris to act with both Chris and Raul say. This fight only ends after about 5 turns of bowing deeply to the K round. Susie doesn't like that and will be attacking it, but that attack doesn't really do anything. You'll see the little status update there of about 60% loose. I've now moved that over to 80. And while I'm in here, you will notice that, that little white box that's surrounded my heart there. That's just like a quote-unquote grazing hitbox where, you're close to the attack, but you don't actually hit it. That gains TP, which will be used, again, a lot later. It'll be used for when I've been pacifying enemies and things like that. Another way of gaining TP, other than just narrowly dodging attacks, like we'll see with our 2 big bads now that we have, Susie and Lancer. Because Susie wants to hurt people and we don't. Excuse me. We'll see. Fine.
Huh?
It's fine. Here. Pardon that, just a little distraction. But during that, we do get introduced to this whole big bad era. You'll see some more dodged combat. And we'll keep making our way. Doing so pretty well. And here's where I mentioned damaging earlier. We can take a few hits in the overworld. Just saves a couple seconds, nothing crazy. But if Chris does die in the overworld, it counts as a death like it would be in combat. But that grazing hitbox is how you gain TP. There is one other way to gain TP in Deltarune, and that's by using a defend mechanic that gets more of its shine later in the run. But again, I'm giving a little bit of spoilers, but you'll see what I'm talking about. It'll all make perfect sense in due time. Proof for patience is key. Speaking of patience, we do end up with one of our very last few scripted boss fights, at least that we have control over. There is one that comes a bit later, but again, we're nearing the end of a lot of the combat section of base game. Actually, I'll pacify. We do end up pacifying. That was using TP. And now here's where money matters. I do have enough money. I'm going to just completely buy out the stocks of heart donuts. These are really good heals and heal a few characters up to full health or half health depending on how you do it. That's why you'll see me continuously buy. And I actually bought more than I was supposed to, which is fine for our purposes, but a little slow. And you'll see I'm dodging more combat as I'm just trying to go through. Now here I can damage boost, but I am going to play this a little bit safe, as you'll see. But yeah, damage boosts save little fractals of time where we can throughout the run. And this is now the second diverge from any percent. That secret path, which you're not supposed to know about at this point, as like you're supposed to hear this all through riddles, but obviously, being a speedrunner, I know everything about this run. Pardon how bland my commentary sounds there for a moment. I also was a little worried about dying with Ralse. But as you go through, you learn about these key pieces through riddles, which we're about to pick up another one. Albeit, I could have been a little bit faster, but I made a slight error. So you will see me mash through damage. Gets the kill a little bit slower than I would have wanted, but it's fine. And once I stop hitting walls, we'll reach key piece part B. You'll have seen it. I'll show it quickly in the menu for everyone at home. I was a little fast, but also this enemy respawns as enemies respawn when you enter room. So I sadly end up with more combat. But it's nothing that I really can't handle. Yeah, there's been a lot worse to deal with. Especially including me whiffing, which is what we've seen now. At least I haven't commentator cursed it yet. But that's very feasible. Because there could be like an attack, oh, I won't get hit, and I'll very easily do so. But also during this time, since this is a lot of just kind of world navigation, I think we would have time for some donations, if any have come in.
Alright, let me check.
Which I believe there is a command in Twitch chat, everyone, for you guys to donate to the charity we're raising for. It is slipping my mind at the moment, but it is a great foundation. We've been doing this for a while. Just with various organizations. But yeah, if you guys have anything you can spare, even $1, would be great.
Speaking
of
of,
sparing,
we do have a donation from GamerTech27. Deltarune is one of my favorite video games because of characters like Chris Deltarune, Susie Deltarune, Ralse Deltarune, and Noel Deltarune. I think that's a reference to something, but I'm not sure if I get it. But with that does meet the incentive for this run.
Okay, I'm doing incentive. Alright. Also, this is more just kind of speedrunner knowledge. There's a button there that usually you'd have to sit in this little chamber. The room gets darker, but obviously I know what I'm doing. Also, to explain that, in Undertale, which this game kind of expects you to understand, that's why we have a heart, that's why, like, the game will say, like, you gain no EXP. It's playing off of Undertale's, like, foundational elements about being kind to people versus not. That's also where pacifying and acting comes into play here. I went the completely wrong direction. But everyone calls Sans Undertale for some reason. And because Chris doesn't really have a last name, same with Ralse, they are just they are just Chris and Ralsei, he'll just added Deltarune to them. Although Noel has a last name, Gamer, so I guess you didn't pay attention during other chapters. Noel's last name is Holiday. But thank you for donating. Speaking of donating, I donated this during that donation section. I donated the idea of a deadly machine to Susie and Lancer, who hated it and decided to, instead of use my cool machine, settle this with their fists. And we get a little route change, actually. Instead of just kind of going through and attacking whoever shows up first on your list, attacking Susie just makes the fight easier, but it's not the fight's end condition. That's why all my attacks are going towards Lancer. We just have to actually just smack Lancer till it hurts. And that's what really ends this fight. Critical hits, which I have been missing sadly, do make this a bit easier, but like to speed through, but I did want to focus on those crits actually. You'll see like he's complaining about his guts hurting. Susie takes pity on Lancer. Also, sadly, we don't get a hitless fight, which means some less damage boost in later sections, but not the end of the world. There isn't really much for us to damage boost through, especially as we're closing out this fight with 2 crits, which we love to see. As you can see, now the fight ends, we see the battle menu go away, and now Susie's reconvinced to be a good guy. And despite the fact that Lancer has done nothing but attack us since we got here, we decide to let Lancer in. We pick up Lancer. He's a Dark Ghost Pokemon with Shadow Ball. As we kind of just pick up characters as we go through the game, including Noel, a character that, because we skipped those opening cutscenes at the beginning of this run, we never actually meet. And now, we do have a bit of monologue. There's nothing really insane going on here. We just kind of hit, like, little, like, sections of the room that we're in, which causes some dialogue, including some fourth wall break there, as we just kind of menu through. We hear some unfunny jokes, and we just keep walking through. Sadly, nothing really comes up of importance in these screens, just lore about how we have to deal with Lancer's father to get out of here. Lancer's father, who's in this castle behind us. One of, if my favorite graphic in the entire chapter. Devil's cool, but I think that personally is a lot cooler. The beam shooting out of the card castle, which is its official name, which will soon be entering the card castle. Once we get through a little bit of a dangerous sequence, you can die here. It's very possible, but I'm just too good. You can see me kind of bobbing and weaving in here. Also, while I'm in here, I'm not actually using it, but we know that I have I mentioned having auto run on at the beginning. It means not holding B. Now if I were to hold B, I'll actually move slower, which I'll just briefly do in another section of the level. When we're in like the very slow, monotonous section. Because this last attack ends a lot of the any percent routing that we have. There is like this little script, but in terms of like where we're moving, what we're doing, we don't really do a lot of any percent from here on forward. Also, we eat some moss, because why not? It's healthy. We're going to take an Iron Shackle, which could be another defense item, but I don't really use it personally. Also, despite us being more knowledgeable of this area, less enthused, as we can see by my blank expression, somehow Susie's the only one who can break out of jail, finish a small puzzle that we're telling them through the wall, and they move on. Although, we're asked if we care about what Susie's up to. We don't. Susie asks us for directions, also doesn't listen to us. I did say go left there, but no matter what you pick, Susie just kind of does her own thing. And now, we hear Lancer in the distance. Susie really wants to investigate it, and slowly finishes this puzzle. And now we get to one of the coolest boss themes in the entire game. Or not boss theme, but like background music, rather. Because we find out that Lancer actually wanted to sell us out, get us jailed, so that we don't hurt his dad. Susie doesn't take nicely to that kind of insult, and decides to fight, settling things with her fists, mocking Lancer before just deciding to swing at him, despite just having care for his health in the previous boss fight. But you'll see me kind of catch him here because I really like this music. Also, this fight is done automatically. All I have to do is dodge, which as we get through the fight will become easier and easier, as you'll see. Because like this is still, you could really get hit here. Hard when you've played this game as much as I have. This is probably my 50th time on this boss fight. I still love the music and love this story beat, but yeah, that's where we are in terms of the run. Since this is a slow section, if we have other donations, they could also be read out. Which I just want to quickly shout out, first off, the Deltarune community for teaching me how to do Jevil and my incentive run that we will see later. But also, the people who have donated to the charity. Really appreciate every dollar that's gone into this. I know I'm pitching it a bit hard, but it really does mean a lot for the people affected. I mean, aka the people who those donations help. And just this event as it makes it more fun. Because now you get to see more of Deltarune. A really well-developed game.
Yeah, with that, we do have a $4 donation from Radionic saying the funny number. And why is that, you might ask? Because our total donation is at 69.00 USD. That's so funny.
I have to clap with my controller, but
I did request a $2 donation, but Radionic has doubled it. So instead of 67, we'll be getting 69.
Yeah, we sadly don't get 6-7. I cannot believe I just did that. Oh my. Never thought I'd be at this point of brain rot, but here we are. Also, speaking of rotting, we're done rotting in ourselves finally. We get to be Chris again. And actually have control over what actions take place. Lancer lets us go, lets us out, and we just take a quick elevator ride. With, in my opinion, also some of the coolest, like, sprite animations in the game. The card castle's cool, but I really like these cozy vibes of everyone just kind of chilling in an elevator. We do have a deep talk, but again, I don't really care. Because now we get to not only the little bit of backtracking we have to do, but the boss fight that I'm quite scared for. Because now that I know people are watching, that adds a bit of pressure. But at least I get to pay off and show you guys just how insane this fight gets. And trust me when I say this early, if you thought, I believe the level was called Super Speed that Yokai Fan had done earlier. That is basically what the next thing is. I did this wrong. Whoops. I always make that one mistake. I'm supposed to go back in the elevator after leaving, because this would just be progression. Also, you'll see that we do get some modern versions of the Rudens that we were skipping earlier. We're also supposed to skip him here, but I'll have to fight him twice, sadly, due to a little error that I made. Because instead of go through Card Castle, we're going to go to this secret floor that opens, which also changes the color palette of the elevator. We'll walk down these giant stairs, start hearing some circus music, and be told about a key. Obviously, everyone knows what key I'm talking about, as I've been getting pieces throughout the run. But this would be the first key piece that you get, and where we get that first key piece would start being told to us by the guy. He would start telling us about the second key piece, the one that I damage boosted through. The third one, I forget how you're told about it, but also, we do have fast travel in Deltarune. Just like with Go Vacation's little checkpoints, there are certain checkpoints throughout the game. And you'll see that glowing text about Strange Prisoner. That gives us the final piece of the key that we need. The only thing is, it's a broken key as it stands. We're going to quickly fix that. Because right now we just have little chunks of metal in our inventory. But that's not really that fun. Also, it looks completely like a key that you'd give to a toddler. But Devil's no toddler. Trust me. And now we go back to the castle. We fixed the key. Now we have it. And we get to begin the final boss fight. Also, as a note for timing, time will end when I use the pacify move on the final boss.
Okay.
Which I may or may not die to. We'll see. because as kind of hyped up earlier, I do need to make sure I save here, just in case I die, so I have the final key piece. We use the key and enter the boss fight, which takes a complete change from the rest of the game. And this also is where we'll see the defend mechanic. You'll see that I start at 0 TP and just quickly shift up to a nice 48. I'll need to be consistently getting close to 50 throughout the entire run. Also, you'll see that TP I somehow was not hit there at the end. That absolutely should have hit me, but it's an Undertale series game, so I'm not going to complain. So you'll see I'll defend again just to get more TP. It's really useful for me to defend with everyone instead of just defending with one person, despite the fact that would have gotten me to the amount of TP we needed. It's better for me just to use everyone. And yes, and now we start to see just how insane this fight is. I am making a big mistake, which is costing me a lot of damage, but as you can see, it gets rough. And now we get to a very easy attack where you can stand at this left position and then move into the bottom right corner, or right position, not left, where we see this. I am going to just defend and use a quick healing item on Ralsei, bringing them back up so we can use all the TP that we have. Well, they might die again, because I got hit. But yeah, as you can see, very insane fight. This is a bad position for me to be in. Also, since I am using a lot of items, you'll notice that I'm not healing Chris. The reason for that is the Hearts Donut on Chris only does 10 heal. You only heal 10 health with that. Oh, there we go. All skill. Except for me getting hit at the end. That was all skill. You are going to see that I wait. As Ralsei is about to be alive again. So there's no real reason for me to use a Hearts Donut here. She'll just come back up. And I am going to heal pair Ralsei, giving them a little more health. While we get to just do a bit of aura farming on Jebel. Because he can't hit me. Unless I make a really dumb mistake, I'm fine in that position. We're also going to be using our TP to bring Chris back a little early. Give them a good amount of health. Also, at this point, because I'm at a stagnant point, we're going to start seeing attacks kind of loop through until I progress the fight. You'll see that once I pirouette, now we're onto... I mean, this is an attack we've already seen, but it's not the same loop. And I do sadly die.
Damn.
Yikes. This is why I gave myself a 50-minute estimate. I'm only about 32 minutes right now if I had to guess. So that's what I'm at on my personal timer, but I'm not sure where the event sees it.
You're
Also,
32:04.
Okay, so it's about 2 seconds late timer, but that's fine. Because I might split late on my end. Also, we don't have the intro, thank God. We just had that little dodge at the beginning. But now we have to start that fight all over again. This is why I gave myself a bit of leeway. And I'm really glad that I did. But I think it becomes quite apparent just how hard this fight is. You'll see, like, all the small little motions that I've had to do this whole time. And the very, like, almost explicit menuing. Also, a lot of these attacks, like, they come in, like, a static order, but what exactly you witness is a bit random. For example, like, this is a static attack. This doesn't really change. Now that I remember what to do. Like, this just kind of plays out. But I believe it's this attack coming up. Or no, not this attack. Whoops. After the carousel. Which, yes. None of that was damaged. Believe it or not, for all of you watching at home. I did not take damage. It's this attack. Despite the fact that I know this is the attack I'm going to have to deal with, where the clubs spawn and how they work is completely random. So it requires a lot of quick thinking on my feet, which I'd say I'm moderately decent at. Also, this is another attack where it's randomly generated. It does try to spawn for the most part underneath the player. You'll see like those bigger stacks of cards showing up, or of diamonds, excuse me, for saying cards for whatever reason. But yeah. Also, a little exploit, you can kind of weave through those attacks, and works. And now, as you'll see, we get a new version of the carousel attack, which is also way harder. Because you can't really sit in the corner, you kind of have to bob and weave it. Less than just standing still. Also, at this point, we're about halfway through the fight if I had to just kind of eyeball it. Because you kind of just learn where the attacks are rather than anything specific. And now I have to play hitless, so please wish me luck for everyone watching at home. Actually, no, I survived the hit. I thought I would die there. I am going to play this risky. This is going to cost me, but it shouldn't cost me the fight. And it did. Oh, no. Yeah. This is still where the insanity kicks in. That's why I gave myself a bit of time on the schedule. It can be a bit rough at times.
Yo, we got a raid from SPD Wolf. Hello, Wolf.
Thank you, Wolf, for the raid.
Which SPD Wolf will be running in this event later down the line.
Which, I believe he's doing Cuphead 1.1 any %, correct?
Yep.
Since now we're in a bit of a loop. I took the weakest hit. Not the best for the Raiders, but... Raiders, and you haven't seen it, just get prepared to feast your eyes on what is the devil of this fight. I'm saying that because I think the devil is the hardest fight in Cuphead. With all the technical levels that go into it. Like that insane dodge. I'm gonna be honest, that was really well done. No, I took damage. Ah, sad. Now the pressure's on. I really want to try to hitless as much as I can now. For the sake of content. But yeah, so if I do heal Chris, I never really fully explained it. Chris normally is fine to healing, but in this specific fight, the Hearts Donut does absolutely nothing for him. Or them, rather, I should say. It only does 10 health, which wouldn't even survive me one more attack than it normally would. Which is why Heal Prayer is the main reason Ralsei is here. For Heal Prayer and the fact that I need them to activate Hypnosis. Which is what makes this fight keep on moving. For all these quite difficult attacks. Which are really hard to compensate over, I'm going to be honest. So if I do not talk for a hot minute, I do apologize. But yeah, there is somewhat of a safe spot, but it's not super consistent, and it's not, like, honestly not advised. I kind of did that by luck. But yeah, you'll see. And chat, despite what you've already seen, you have not seen the hardest attack of this fight. There is a much harder attack coming down the line, which is not the final attack, sadly. That you will see is really hard, and... Actually, now I think about it, we're back to the same point chat just left off on. But I really have to make sure I don't die all the way. Okay, I survive. It's barely, but I do survive. This is also why we bought Hearts Donuts earlier. Oh god. I need to watch out. Okay, we survived. We survived, ladies and gentlemen. Watching at home. But yeah, and this is by far one of the craziest attacks in the entire fight. As it combines everything you've already done into one giant smorgasbord. And, sadly, forces me to heal a lot. And now, right before another Hypnosis, we do get this very much slower attack. This does not mean that the fight is slowing down by any means. The fight is only going to go higher from here. Which has this crazy attack mixed in. Which, yes, this is normal speed. No, I'm not using some kind of speed up mod. My friends who aren't Deltarune fans did think that at first. This is just the normal speed of the attack. No. And now we do get back to a few of the more basic attacks. Basic, I say, despite how insanely quick this is. That sucks. That really does suck. Yeah. I have one more attack to sit through. I am going to quickly heal for Chris, as I can likely get a good amount of TP, depending on the attack that I get. But I did actually forget there for a moment. I won't lie. The audience, I did forget. And then make a grave error. My defense. So now I have to wait out another turn of all of this chaos with Chris dying, which kind of sucks. Ralsei was also hit, meaning that Ralsei will not be back anytime soon. Oh god, I need Ralsei here. Oh, but yeah, chat. Even this amount of heals, it's still taking its toll on me. This fight, which I really hope I complete here, because I'm very far in. But I won't lie, I am really stressed out. But yeah, there is a little bot and weave that you can do if you do forget where the attack starts. Oh god. Oh no, please. Thank you. And this will be time in 3, 2, 1.
Time.
40, 20, 56. On my side.
19.98 on this side.
Oh, wow.
That
Well,
is
to be fair, you
GG's.
did start the timer a bit late. But that's GG's. Now this file is past that fight, and also for beating that fight, you'll see that we have a Shadow Crystal. Which, I believe is a defense item, if I'm not mistaken. But that's enough with this chapter. Now, I move on to Spamtania. I'm going to take a quick drink, though. I'm really happy that fight went well. It did take me a few tries, but that's only about a minute and a half slower than my PB, which given a halfway death is honestly fine. And now, we're moving chapters to by far the cooler chapter of the demo chapter. Chapter 2. We're going to get the same intro minus the chapter display, and we move on to a pre-recorded save. I also like turning auto run on, as we have a bit of menuing before we enter the Spam to Neo fight.
Your screen share's dead.
Oh, it died? Hold on. Whoops. Oh, I know why. Whoops. Forgot about that. Should be good now.
Oh yeah.
So we enter chapter 2. We enter this weird catacomb. I'm just going to walk around so people have time to see it. We're into this weird catacomb with train tracks for some reason. And in this preloaded save, you're going to see an item called the Loaded Disc on top of the Shadow Crystal, which is not because of my previous run. We're going to see this weird mechanism, which wants the Loaded Disc. We're going to put it in, and we're going to try to mess with the item. Nothing happens. But, rest assured, this does lead into that boss fight. But we do need to try to pretend to leave and get completely stopped. Because why wouldn't we? Now this is Spamton. Spamton is basically a car salesman that you see in the regular chapter. This is his Giga version. He's now hitting a Giga Chat moment on me. Just kind of showing how bad power scaling can really be. Which we do have about a minute of an opening cutscene, give or take, before the actual fight begins. If we have one donation that can, one or two donations to be quickly read off.
Oh yeah, there was a donation from Radionics, $20, and he says full clear for incentive. Let's go, which means all incentives have been met this marathon already. Kind of crazy.
Which is amazing news. Thank you, Radon, for your donation. Also, thank you, game, for giving me the power to shoot bullets. So we are going to take another pacifist route on this fight. Which, again, is also really hard. Because these are meant to be, like, secret fights once you have enter the game. Like, practice with the game. Also, a small Cuphead reference. Since Wolf's viewers are here. We get a small reference to the Jimmy. Unintentional, but it does look like the Jimmy's face, too, so. And we are going to continue to use Snap All as long as everyone's alive. And also, this boss fight, compared to the Devil fight, which relied purely on my items and heal prayer, we do have one little more bonus, but I won't show that off. We will have one more survival method, but I won't show that off just yet. because I haven't taken damage. Also, by holding, we have this really big shot. We get to be a big shot. I think you can hear in the music. I forget if chat has access to it. That hits me.
Yeah, I can hear the music, which means
Okay.
chat should be able to.
Okay. And now I did take some damage, so I'm going to press the F1 key. I'm doing this on PC, which gives me a little bit of a heal. And basically undoes all that damage. We're about a third of the way through the fight now, believe it or not. Also, I really like using that heal there because this attack sucks. Also, you'll see that attacks do insane amounts of damage. Excuse my We're also going to use heal prayer instead. We could use items. I do have a revivement, but I am just going to avoid disaster before it happens while still progressing the fight. Which is really nice that without without everyone doing something, I can actually get decent progress on the fight. Also, we get another Cuphead reference in this fight, as that looks very similar to Dr. Called Robot, and that's the only thing I can think of when versing that attack, which we will see a few times. I missed the big shot. Rip. Like the 2 seconds of time save. I'm gonna make a small man. We do have some boosts about how quickly we charge up our big shots, alongside the. God, I'm bad. Oh, that's bad. Okay, well, I guess I get to show off the items we have in this save, which include a revivement, which will bring Chris to full health, as you'll see. Now, again, basically nothing happened. But yeah, we are just kind of playing the Dr. Call Robot boss fight phase 1 for all the Cuphead fans out there. We are just doing something similar to that while getting some cuts off. Before another really hard attack that I'm doing well on, which is surprising. And there's the commentator curse doing its job. And we're about 2/3 through this fight now for those that want like a status update. Also, as you can see, these attacks are really hard. I find them a bit easier than Devil though, as you're also just a lot tankier to them. And also for those that don't know, I have to break all 3 of these hearts. I haven't broken the center one, which is the most important, but not check. I do not need to check any bugs. Whoops. There are little boosters that I can also use. I just haven't decided to do at this point. Also, as a little gimmick, we get a completely free turn here. And I will just quickly go through and use some items. I'm going to use the top cake. You're going to see everyone gets a nice bit of heals, and we're actually full health. But now we get the insane phase, which first has us attacking. I'm also taking damage because I'm not paying that much attention. Followed by the cool portion, which is similar to the final chaos that we already saw, which gets us a good amount of damage, and this will be the last attack that Spamton gets to use, as we're actually really close to the fight right now. The end of the fight, I mean. Yeah, this fight's really cool. Got some really great music. I gotta give Toby Fox credit where it's due. His games may be held on by a bunch of if-else statements, but he is good at music. And that is time for Spamton Neil.
Yes.
We have, in a pacifist manner, completely disconnected him from his power. And he does drop dead.
Right, so that's basically the run and the incentive. Are there any shout outs you want to give, or like stuff you want to say, Twist?
I'm gonna have a shout out to Mark for letting me be part of this. Also, this is a post-credit cutscene. That doesn't really matter. Where we also get items like we were before. I want to give a shout out to my friend Awesome Guy 2323, who gave me a little bit of advice for this fight. The Deltarune speedrunning community for their help on this fight. Mark, you for hosting it and letting me be on here. And the people who have been donating thus far, and the runners that have helped us reach a bunch of donations, including all the incentives, which I'm really glad to see happen. Let me move through this event.
Yeah, alright, next up we have Sebastian Image running Super Punch Out, and yeah, stick around for that. Bye bye.
Bye-bye for now, everyone.